And we are live. How's it going, everybody? I'll give you all a minute to get in. Those of you who are coming, we're doing a billionaires tier list today. You know, I love tier lists, and I found this fun tier list of a bunch of billionaires, some of whom I'm pretty familiar with, some maybe not as much. And I thought it might be fun to just hop on and give them a rank S through F, or a who to F is this for those I do not know. Hopefully, we will get this started in just a few moments. Just want to make sure we get some people in the lobby. And please, please, please type in the chat if you can hear me okay and all that. We're about to get ready to go. So, in this billionaires tier list, I'll start over on this end with somebody we all know, Mr. Mark Zuckerberg. So, Marky Mark is in charge of Meta Platforms, formerly known as Facebook. And he is known for being one of the younger billionaires out there. And he's also known for his recent feud with another person on this list, Mr. Elon Musk, the Lord of Tesla. So, where do we rank Mr. Zuckerberg? Well, honestly, I think we put him in the B tier. Now, nothing against the Zuck, but I don't know that it was exactly particularly business acumen or investing acumen that got him to where he is. It seems like it was just a guy, the right guy with the right idea at the right time to kind of take off. It was basically what if MySpace but better, or what if MySpace but for college students. Essentially, that was the whole thing there. Now, granted, he's built one of the biggest high flyers of the modern day, but compared to some of the other titans on here, I mean, is he really better than B tier? I don't think so. I think B tier is plenty fine for Mr. Zuck. Next up, we got why don't we go with somebody a little bit more conventional? Why don't we go with should I save Buffett for later? I think I should save Buffett for later. I know. I think this one's Tim Cook. So let's go with Tim Cook, or Tim Apple, as another guy on this list likes to call him sometimes. So Tim Cook is the CEO of Apple. He came up under Steve Jobs, and he's honestly, he's pretty run of the mill for this list. He didn't build Apple himself, but he has been a solid steward of the company, and good friends with Warren Buffett. Asks his advice on capital allocation. I don't know that there's much that like the typical investor could really learn from someone like Tim Cook. This is just like kind of your standard C-suite guy that was groomed by the right people and came up in the right company at the right time, and has just given solid stewardship to an already excellent business. So he goes in the C tier for me. And if I get anybody wrong, I apologize. The pictures are quite small, and only some of them have very, very recognizable faces, at least for me. Okay. So let's get into one of the celebrity billionaires that we have on this list, or Honestly, in most cases, I would call them billionaires because the typical celebrity, honestly, they're more flash than substance. And, if they put all their money into things like um, supercars and jewelry and extravagant lifestyle, I think that a lot of the wealth is kind of an illusion on their part. So we're going to go with Kanye here. So Mr. Kanye is going to go straight into the F tier. Okay. This is somebody that pretty much got where they are only purely based on musical talent, but and I guess like having a really good brand around their name, but honestly, like the average person can't do that and probably couldn't learn too much from them. And to be honest with you, I think this kind of falls into the category of someone who is more surface than substance in a lot of ways. So they go right into the old F tier. Press F to pay respects to Mr. Kanye. Next up, we've got, I feel like going with Mark Cuban next. All right. Because, as you know, Cubes is the guy on Shark Tank. He got his billions by selling broadcast.com to yahoo.com. Now, he got most of his money actually at the time in Yahoo stock. And he actually made one of the greatest, or what, I think Forbes or somebody considered at the time one of the greatest trades of all time in order to keep that fortune. Because as you may know, if you have ever tried to look up Yahoo stock, it does not exist currently. Yahoo.com is owned by Verizon now, but is not its own publicly traded company anymore. Now, what Cuban did was he sold calls on his massive amount of Yahoo stock and then bought puts, protective puts. So basically, if the stock went up a certain amount, he would have gotten the shares called away at a certain strike price on a certain day. And the puts, if the stock were to crash, protected his downside so that he would be guaranteed to be able to sell it at a specific price on a specific day. Oh, when did they sell Yahoo? And who'd they sell it to? I'm mucho curious about that. But anyway, as you know, that you can kind of guess how that went based on the fact Yahoo is no longer its own publicly traded company. And Mr. Cuban is still a billionaire. Now, he said some things like, at this point in time, it's actually more about preserving the billions that he has more so than like getting the max return possible and such. Um, and of course, he's the guy on Shark Tank. But honestly, I think that nifty trade alone, the fact that he was both an entrepreneur but also knew what to do to protect himself after he got the money. I think that there are some interesting lessons there. And I think even, I mean, I would actually put him above Zuckerberg in that respect because, if he had if broadcast.com had taken off and maybe turned into YouTube before YouTube and he had stayed CEO of it, then he'd be basically Zuckerberg. But he was actually ahead of his time with the whole video streaming thing and, got the most he could out of it and protected it with a very interesting move. And I would put him in A tier for that. He's a crafty guy, very smart. They bought AOL and Yahoo. Huh. That's interesting. Apollo Global is the company that bought. Oh, and so they got AOL and Yahoo as a part of that package deal. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, last time I looked into Yahoo to just kind of see what happened to it, I had just seen that Verizon had bought them at some point. So very interesting. Thank you for illuminating me on that one. So, who do we go for next on this list? Why don't we go for one of the like politicians? We can go either politicians. How about I'll call them dictators. Kim Jong Un and I think Putin's on here too. Yeah, there he is. Vladimir Putin. So, eh, why don't we go with I'm pretty yeah, that's got to be Kim Jong Un. Nobody else looks like that. So, honestly, I'm almost skeptical if you could even really count him, because while he rules over an entire country with an iron fist, right? He the country itself is poor as dirt, and he's got no way to really like use most of, and if any of that wealth, like outside of his own borders, except with maybe some different deals with China. So like, is he really effectively a billionaire? And anything he does have wasn't acquired through any kind of like smart dealing or business sense or anything. It's inherited because his family has ruled the country again with an iron fist for like, what is it, 3 or 4 generations or something like that. So honestly, F tier, F tier for this little bowl of pudding. All right. Um. Ooh. So one of my favorite um people growing up, Michael Jordan. Okay. So I literally used to obsess over getting an opportunity to watch the Bulls when I was a kid. I lived in Illinois, and this was like at the height of the Bulls as a team. They had Phil Jackson as the coach. You had Michael, you had Scotty, you had Dennis Rodman, you had Steve Kerr, who was a really great 3-pointer guy, and they had all these really really solid people on one team. They were basically the envy of every other basketball organization at the time. Now, Michael Jordan, it came out in the 90s. We even talked about him in school, okay, that he made more money on his like sponsorship stuff, like Hanes and Nike and all that stuff, than he did on his basketball salary, okay, which was millions of dollars on its own. And that's super impressive. One, yes, a big part of why he got there is innate talent, but also determination, hard work, and he's also a lot more low key than a lot of the other celebrity billionaires on this list. Like, when I think of Michael Jordan, I don't think, I don't think about like the latest tabloid story of him out there doing some stupid thing with his money. I don't think of a lot of like, and he probably does have like supercars and jewelry if he's into that kind of thing. But it's not like what you think of when you think of Michael Jordan. You think of his legacy as an athlete, and you think of like Hanes or sneakers and like his different sponsorship deals, really more so than anything else. Whereas like someone like Kanye, who is an F tier here, you think of how bat shoot cuckoo crazy the guy is. So honestly, Um, just because of how much of a standout he is for like the celebrity billionaires, I'll put him up in B tier. All right. And also I'm a little biased. I really liked the Bulls when I was a kid. So let's go to somebody. I guess we can go to Warren Buffett now. I mean, everybody wants to talk about Warren Buffett. All right. So I think with Warren Buffett, this is um, a pretty unique person, and I think in a lot of ways he's the billionaire that other billionaires want to be in a lot of ways, because he's pretty much considered by many to be the greatest investor of all time, with those lifetime returns that are just not just market beating but market crushing. And he's in a lot of ways just an average guy, right? Oh, evening, John. So the fact is that he's in a lot of ways just an average guy with a pretty good extra sense about money and investing and business. And he pretty much did the whole get rich slow thing that everybody talks about. And he's just happened to be going at it for like almost 100 years now. And so he's had a lot of time for, compound interest to take hold and to get his returns, and then reinvest those returns into other things that get good returns, and just be super rich because his company Berkshire owns outright a lot of really great businesses and has major stakes in a lot of other really great businesses. So I mean, you can't have a list of billionaires and not have Warren Buffett sitting on top in the crown in S tier, frankly. I think you got to have him there. I don't think there's anybody on this list that you can say is a stronger choice for that tier. So if there was an S plus tier, Warren Buffett would probably sit there alone right now. Ooh, next up, how about we go to George Lucas? This is the man behind Star Wars. Now, I love Star Wars. Everybody loves Star Wars. Some of the more recent entries, maybe not as much, but he did sell his company Lucasfilms for $4 billion to Disney, and so they got, along with that, the great Star Wars. We'll just call it an empire. The Empire Strikes Back, right? So honestly, I think that that's like a one-time, windfall entry exit, whatever. I don't think he's ever like really managed to duplicate what he had with Star Wars. And like, let's face it, like the original Star Wars would have been a mess if it wasn't for a lot of really good editing that was done after the fact. And there were people around that would tell him no at the time because he wasn't the George Lucas yet. And that's evidenced by the perceived drop in quality with the prequels and everything else. So suffice it to say, like, I don't think he's any kind of like business genius, or even a genius in any sense, except maybe he was, a little bit creative back in the day. And he's one of those artists that had one thing really pay off really well, and he's been milking it ever since. He got his $4 billion, but I mean, D tier, like, what can we really learn about investing or business from George Lucas? Not much. If it was what we could learn about filmmaking, or being, or the creative process or something, maybe he would have something to offer, but nah. Now, who do we go on to next? This is the question. Ooh, how about Jack Ma? I think that's Jack Ma. So, as you guys know, I have a good little chunk of the Alibaba, and Jack Ma is the founder. Now, when he's not being made to disappear by his government, I think he's got an awful lot of business sense. He's involved in a lot of other businesses over there, not just Alibaba. There's this, I think it's called the Ant Group or something like that, that he's really heavily involved in. Um, but yeah, like pretty much the Chinese business world. Jack Ma is, I think, one of the pillars of that world, and frankly, uh, he's basically Chinese Jeff Bezos. He gets to be an A tier, I think. Um, he's got a lot of sense for that kind of thing. He just needs to be careful and tread lightly when it comes to his government. Now, speaking of his government, the person that I know, this template was pre-made template I found. The person had a sense of humor about the government over there. Now, when it comes to, I guess, heads of state that are on this list, now that's not exactly in good taste to do that edit, by the way, but it is what it is. The Winnie the Pooh edit. Oh, what's that? Money was in toys as opposed to movies. That's got to be something to learn about business models. Oh, so I think you're talking about like the merchandising opportunities. So yeah, I guess like insisting on the merchandising rights or whatever. I know there when Spaceballs came out, he was like he was okay with Mel Brooks making that movie. It was a parody of Star Wars, and I do remember there was a story where he told Mel Brooks like, "Yeah, you can make the movie, but like I don't want you to, I don't want there to be like Spaceballs toys because he didn't want people to see Spaceballs toys on the shelf and like mistake it for Star Wars or like cut into his sales or whatever." I guess, but like again, how many of us have a movie with a merchandising opportunity, or how many, I don't know. It seems like a like really, I don't know, really narrow in a sense, I guess. But I do take your point. Like that after the fact, yeah, that is good. That is good business to be protective of your merchandising opportunities for sure. And he did seemingly make sure he always got his cut, I suppose. I might consider him C tier, but then that would put him up there with Tim Cook. I don't know. I don't know. Um, oh yeah, we were on President G. Now here's the thing. Like, I don't even know if it's like necessarily like even that he's a billionaire in the sense. Like, it's hard with these heads of state, right? Because they're sort of like um they're sort of like shadow billionaires in a sense, right? Because they're not, it's not like they have direct like disclosed net worth. Like they don't have a, they're not filing like a 13F where you see their stock portfolios or anything, right? So I think it's more about just like how much access to resources and wealth that they have in a sense, more so than their own direct ownership of different things. So honestly, like I would almost argue that a lot of the heads of state don't even belong on this list. But um, I will say of the heads of state, like if we were to try to spread out the heads of state on this, Kim is obviously bottom because like the amount of resources he can access as a head of state is much lower. Um, G would probably be the highest, actually, in terms of the heads of state. Which, if we go down to then Putin, I mean, Russia's got a lot of natural resources, but their economy is in trouble. Human capital is in the tank. I mean, D tier billionaire. He's mismanaged the crap out of his country, to be honest with you. Like, with the amount of natural resources Russia has, they should be in a much better position than they are now, monetarily speaking. So, whereas, the Chinese government has been outmaneuvering the US for like 4 or 5 presidential administrations now on our end. So, yeah, that's just where I'm at with that. Though, again, questionable if the heads of state even should be on here in the first place. Man, I'm having trouble recognizing some of these people. Like who the heck is that and that? Like, I hate to say it, but like a lot of these guys are just starting to blend together and become like generic white guy. Oh, we got Elon. Ladies and gentlemen. So let's go with Elon since he's in charge of a Tesla. So Elon Musk is far from a one-trick pony, okay? He's got Tesla and SpaceX and the Boring Company and the cars and the solar roofs and on and on and on. Now, he does some goofy stuff sometimes. Sometimes he goes on Joe Rogan and smokes a little doobie or something. But overall, like, the man knows how to build a company. Now, buying Twitter was a huge blunder financially, I think. So, he would have been, without that, I would probably have considered him A tier. But, like, that literally, like, that drops him down to C tier because that's just boneheaded. Just because you have the resources available to buy something that you want doesn't mean you should do it. And his inability to, hold back on his ego, and I think his emotions just got too involved, and that's why that whole thing happened, to be honest with you. And if there's one thing S plus tier Daddy Buffett says, it's that you need to keep your emotions in check. Who the heck is? See, I recognize a lot of these guys. And it may just be because I don't associate face with name too well. Like, some of them, like, I know I've seen the picture before, but I'm just not coming up with a name. So I'm only going to do the ones like I'm 100% on who the heck they are. Buffed Bezos. Oh, you're right. That is. Yeah, I couldn't tell because of how tiny it was. It was just like, I could tell it was a bald guy with sunglasses. That's about all. My eyesight's not so great. Okay, so yeah, that's Bezos. So, okay, cool. In the jacket with the shoes. Oh, the shades, not the shoes. I need to learn to read. Right. Okay. Yeah, that's when he was flexing. All right. So, do we want to go with Bezos next? I mean, all right. Here's the thing. If I put Ma up in A tier, I think I got to put Bezos up in A tier as well. Like, Amazon is the company of companies as far as like their footprint and how entangled they are with the American retail economy now. Like, he pretty much in some ways like out Walmarted Walmart in terms of like scaling and just being everywhere, right? And he operated at losses in a lot of cases in favor of scaling. Now, I don't like the valuation of Amazon right now, But Mr. Bezos has been extremely savvy in a lot of different ways, and we want to give him some big time street cred for that. And I think, if we're going to give Jack Ma A tier, we got to give Bezos A tier as well. And he also, diversified things pretty well, built an ecosystem sort of in a similar way to that Apple did, right? He had his Prime, and then that they added Prime Video, and they've also got their Amazon Web Services, and just all kinds of different ways that they're, you know, bringing in revenue. Now, if they could just get that bottom line going the way it should be, then we'd be cooking with fire. And he could, bump his way up into S tier at some point. Now, let's see here. Ooh, do we want to get controversial? I think we do. So we're gonna go straight to this guy. I mean, and heads of state too, in a sense, right? Because he was our president from 2016 to 2020. So the Donald. It's funny because he's kind of a hybrid between heads of state and celebrities on this list, and also like arguably the only one that was like technically rich before they became famous or a head of state. Also, in those two things, but it was all inherited, and he bankrupted a casino, had to be bailed out by his dad before his dad died. A lot of times is generally like, I don't think that great at allocating his capital. And geez, like, I don't know, if you want to learn how to squander a very large inheritance and shrink it in terms of real value over time, I mean, go with our man, the Donald. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, and this is just based on like business related stuff, right? It just, the track record is not good, honestly. If it wasn't for the fact that like he was propped up a lot by The Apprentice and different things like that, which, I think he got paid a lot of money for that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's not business acumen. It's the perception of his business acumen that allowed him to stay like in the limelight and, kind of collect on his name, on the Trump name. More so, like, it's like you take a random, real estate deal, you slap the word Trump onto the skyscraper, and suddenly, people want to participate or whatever. Trump steak, Trump vodka, which if that's Trump vodka, he doesn't even, so he famously doesn't even drink. I mean, a lot of people, I don't think, realize that. Yeah, just slap the name onto literally everything, and it's a business, I guess. Yeah, I just, it's kind of a joke. Also, the book that The Art of the Deal was ghost written by somebody else, and again, they just slapped his name on the book. Fun story. So while we're in that kind of celebrity frame of mind, is this Kim K right here? I think it is, right? I don't really, so a little bit of comedy here. I don't keep up with the Kardashians, guys. I don't keep up with the Kardashians. So Kim K, gosh, I mean, Bloomberg on there, fifth from the right. Yeah, this is Mike Bloomberg. Yeah, which, thank you. I forgot what he looked like, so thanks for pointing him out to me. He just kind of looks like everybody's like great uncle or something, Anyways, Kim K. So if getting piped by rappers was a business model, F tier. Like, granted, capitalized on it, but if I mean, not everybody can make. I mean, what could she possibly tell people about success? Like, go get piped by a bunch of rappers and hope that the video gets, viral or something. Hope that you don't get viral personally in the process. I mean, yeah, takes money from crypto scam. Yeah, no, just uh uh um. So, gosh, why don't we talk Bloomberg? So, Bloomberg is, I think, about as boring and uninspiring as you can get on these. I mean, he is an actual legitimate businessman billionaire type, right? But like, he is so just like blending in with the crowd. Like, he blends in with this crowd so well, and is so like unremarkable in every other way except for the fact that he's got that many zeros in his portfolio. Dude's got to go in C tier. Now, it's weird that he's right here next to Elon, but Elon cost himself by buying Twitter. He probably would have been A or at least B tier if not for that. So I know it seems like a little bit of a mismatch, but this is where we're going with it. How stupid do you have to be to pump a scam? I don't know. Ask Jeremy Lefebvre and Stockmo and um, all those guys. Basically everybody on the Millennial Money podcast that endorsed FTX. Ask them how stupid you have to be to pump a scam. So that's sort of like a vanity thing, but um, it like compared to like the Elon 50 billion on Twitter thing, like he barely spent anything of his net worth on that little vanity presidential bid. What we should have is meet Kevin on here and like put him in F tier for his governor bid, except he's not a billionaire. Vanity. I definitely do hate like billionaire vanity projects. Let's see. Gosh, who's Mr. Friggin' Man? I feel like I should know. Wait, I don't see Richard Branson on here anywhere. I feel like he should be on here. But I do recognize Oprah Winfrey. So here's something interesting about Oprah. So on the one hand, I want to put her high on the list because this is like I think, and this is a while ago. I remember there being something about her technically being the first self-made woman billionaire ever. Yeah, I'm sure Bill Gates is here, but like, man, I just do not see him in like the sea of like people that all are starting to blend into one to me right now. But anyway, tell me which one is Bill Gates, like, because none of them look like any picture of Bill Gates I've actually looked at before. Or is this Bill Gates like when he was younger, maybe? Oh, does he not have it? Wow. Dang. Yeah, that wasn't a very good picture. All right. But anyway, back to Oprah. But Oprah also basically gave the careers, like she basically gave, doctors Phil and Oz their careers by like pumping them. And so like I kind of want to knock her down a little bit for that. I mean, if not for that, like I feel like she'd easily be A tier. Like Oprah is just like a a force to be reckoned with in a lot of ways. But again, like Doctors Phil and Oz, really? Really, Oprah? I'm disappointed in you, Oprah. And also, she promoted that scam book. Well, it wasn't a scam. It was a memoir or whatever that like the guy lied. Oh, geez. Okay. The thick one. Yeah, thick Bill Gates. That's what we're gonna call him from now on. Okay, because I can't even think of what Gabe knew. Like I've heard the name, but I can't even think of what he did. That's how boring it probably is. So Oprah is going down to B tier. Like she'd be A tier, except I kind of have a problem because like Dr. Phil kind of he's kind of uh like a slightly classier Jerry Springer in a way. He's a Jerry Springer with a degree on his wall, basically. And Dr. Oz is like Mr. Junk Science woo woo healing with a medical degree. He's like the biggest quack doctor of all time. So like Oprah's lucky that I'm feeling generous and only knocking her down one tier for that. All right. Okay. Mr. Gates. Or should I say Mr. Had Dinner with Jeffrey Epstein? Oh man, if I was monetized like from an ad spend perspective, I'd be getting hit with the this isn't friendly for monetization by bringing up the Epstein. Oh, okay, Valve. Okay. But yeah, so Mr. Gates. Now, if we're not judging him for his personality and we're only going based off of like money stuff, business stuff, I mean, this is gonna sold too much stock. What, Bill Gates? What, sold too much Microsoft, you think? Honestly, I think it's probably smart for him not to be too concentrated. But I mean, Microsoft was one of, if not the greatest publicly traded companies ever. Yeah, but let's face it, Microsoft has a pretty rich valuation, and you like if one thing we learned from Mr. Cuban is that just because it looks like the company that you have the bulk of your wealth in is the future and it's awesome and it's the future bro and all that, it's technology bro and the future bro, doesn't mean that it's not vulnerable at some point. So and knowing when it's going to be vulnerable, that's anybody's guess. So it's smart to lower your concentration risk, right? Yeah, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. So I mean, honestly though, like he was the number one. Like it was Gates number one, Buffett number two for the longest time. Like that's like my entire childhood right there. So um I would say he's below Buffett, but still S tier for like billionaire status. Now, um, he's made some questionable choices recently in his personal life, but eh, you know, it's not as much about that. Like that didn't have much to do with business. It supposedly had to do with charity. So um, we'll leave that there. But let's see. Does anyone know who Mr. Tongue Smile is here? Also, thick Bill Gates. He goes in C tier because he's basically just thick Bill Gates. He's basically just a clone of every other person. C tier is going to be it's kind of the boring tier, or people who belonged in higher tiers but got knocked down. Oh gosh, who? Man, I recognize this guy, but like I can't remember the name. Indian billionaire Gupta or something, maybe. Exactly. All right. So, I mean, we'll go with who the f is this until I can get it really. Is this Google's CEO? I don't want to butcher his name. Or, well, sorry, Alphabet, not Google. Sorry. All right, yeah, that name is absolutely not doing anything for me. So I'll leave him in the WTF. All right, and who the heck is this lady? It's not Kathy Wood. I know that. Lordy, yeah, I'm starting to draw blanks on who any of these guys are. The one with the Google background. Okay. Oh, I did not recognize Jay Z. Mm. So, you know what? Unlike, I'm thinking, I'm thinking D tier because musical talent, but not F tier because at least it's based on talent and not getting like he is the rapper. He didn't get piped by a rapper. You know what I mean? So he at least gets to be on the D tier. Fedora guys. And that's not doing anything for me. Not doing anything for me. Couldn't tell you anything about what he did or didn't do. And that's the thing. I need to be able to say at least something about them to be able to fairly categorize them. Oh, so he's into crypto. Well, I mean, who isn't, right? Minecraft. Center green shirt. Uh yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, curious about who the heck this guy is on the end here. Standing guy with the shirt. Old looking guy. Which Sanders? Wait, what? Yeah, are you guys trolling me right now? Isn't that Hillary Clinton? Oh, you mean this one here, the the old lady is what I'm calling her. No, it's not. Bernie Sanders isn't a billionaire. He's like at best worth a few million, which like for a guy that's almost 100 years old is like not that much money, to be honest with you. Oh my gosh, he has 2 houses or something. Like, oh my gosh, he's practically a billionaire. No, 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 no. Fourth from the right is a UK billionaire. Yeah, and that's old money. Who cares? Um, yeah, that's not. This is not Bernie Sanders, by the way. Is this Hillary Clinton? I cannot tell for the life of me. Like, I'm like, no, I don't think that's Hillary Clinton. I just like took my face close to the screen just to. I don't think that's Hillary Clinton. I don't know who that is. I bet maybe it's like one of the Waltons or something. Like, they're not so much in the public, so like I would not recognize them by their faces. Um, See, problem is I don't know much about what he's done other than Google. Whereas with like a lot of the other billionaires, like I know at least more than one thing about them. You know what? Go and go in C tier. Actually, Google's at least worth C tier. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I mean, I think we're approaching the end of the list here because like I am running out of recognition for people. I think we did all the fun ones though. I mean, let's just say that like everyone I didn't recognize is honorary C tier because they're so boring I couldn't be bothered to figure out anything about them. Yeah, yeah, it's like who the heck knows, right? Yeah, I'm out of clues too. So hey, that's the billionaire tier list. I mean, I hope you all enjoyed a little bit of burning that I gave, a little bit of the roasting that I gave to some of the people on this list. You know, hey, they're all on their high horse. They can get knocked down a step or two by an average person like me every once in a while. Makes everybody feel good, right? But yeah, Daddy Buffett is S plus on top. Paul McCartney. I'm not even going to dignify. Oh yeah, you're right. That is Paul McCartney. See, because I felt like he looked a little familiar, but like when I'm looking at billionaires, Paul McCartney is not does not come like immediately to mind, right? So, but yeah, like I don't know enough about anything he's done other than he was the Beatles guy, like, and apparently probably had a solo career after they broke up. But like other than that, I don't know enough about him to really get into it so much. So I'm gonna let it be there. All right. If I don't even recognize them, I doubt I can really like speak too much on enough to rate them anymore. So I hope you all enjoyed the roast. I will be on Ryan's channel tomorrow night. We'll talk a little bit about earnings. I keep the Saturday thing as a little bit more fun and light entertainment. And we'll call it. Anyone got any last things they want to throw on the screen? Now's your chance. Also, hop into the Discord if you're not a member already. Hit the join button. We are now at 3 channel members. When I get to 10, I'm doing something awesome with the YouTube portfolio. All right. I will see y'all tomorrow night. Peace out.